On to the state of Kerala. Ahead of state elections on April 6th, one constituency that has captured national attention in Kerala is Wayanad. It was from this very Lok Sabha constituency that the Congress sign Rahul Gandhi secured an overwhelming victory in 2019. With regards to assembly constituencies, Wayanad is the smallest district in Kerala with only 3 segments. This time around, the Congress is marred with infighting here, but is banking heavily on the support offered by IUML. Now, UDF is also riding high on the recent poll successes, while for LDF, it is a do-or-die battle. Let's in fact get you a ground report from Kalpetta, the only general seat in the district of Wayanad. I'm now being joined by Sreeja MS, who is on the ground tracking all the poll updates from that particular place. So Sreeja, the Wayanad district in fact has the national spotlight on it during the assembly polls, thanks to the Rahul factor, of course. But the districts and its segment have a very, very interesting electoral history as well. You are at one such place named Kalpetta. Take us through the ground situation there. Who is pitted against whom? And more importantly, what is the mood of the voters there?
Well, that's right. I'm here at Kalpetta. This is one of the assembly segments of a total of 3 in Wayanad district here in Kerala at the new bus stand. Now, this is one of the prominent locations. But of course, speaking to people, trying to gauge on the pulse as far as the election fever hots up right here in the state of Karnataka, what we understand, what really people of Kalpetta and also on the whole Wayanad needs, what we understand here from them is they're talking about developmental issues, basic public transport. Of course, there are students that we did talk to. We also understand from the students that they don't really have a sports academy here at Kalpetta. Now, apart from that, we also understand from them as far as bus connectivity issues. Now, these are certain issues as pointed out by the students. And if you're really going to, especially the women also talk about, in fact, the employment. That's been a major issue as far as a concern, as far as Kerala on the whole is concerned, because we're looking at the percentage which is above the national average as far as the unemployment is concerned. That is also one of the things. As far as the mood is concerned, we also try and understand from the people that despite the LDF being in power, all that they are looking at is they need more development. They don't really matter which party actually comes to power. Now, that is something we were able to gauge in from the youth. All that they say is that we don't really care which party wins, but what we need and what we need to see on ground here is the development. Also, most importantly, like you did point out, saying that Wayanad, especially Kalpetta, did of course gain national prominence. This is just right after Rahul Gandhi. He won the Lok Sabha seat from here with a margin of over 4 lakh votes. Now, what's really more important over here is it's of course the political scenario that we're looking at here is a tough battle.
Right, exactly. Sreeja, stay with us. In fact, I'll come back to you to discuss more about that political scenario that you were referring to. In fact, Sreeja just now spoke to LDF candidate from Wayanad's Kalpetta, Shreyam S. Kumar. Listen in.
What have you been able to gauge from the people here?
You see, I'm born and brought up here. I studied here, so I know the people of Wayanad. What I've seen is like people are generally happy, because the performance of the government has been good. We have gone through troublesome times, like the massive flood which affected us in 2018, followed by landslides in 2019, then Oki, Nipah, now COVID. The government is able to lead from the front. Despite all these difficulties, Kerala has ensured not a single family, starves. From lockdown onwards till now, the government has supplied food kits to over 87 lakh households. It's unheard of. I don't think in Bangalore it has happened. Those people who have lost their jobs, who has no income, would have starved. The Kerala government ensured that that doesn't happen. You see, the allegation, what you talked about, is all false, and people have kind of rejected it. If you look at the last local body elections, that's when the controversy was at its height. What happened? What was the result? You see, these were allegations because there's nothing the opposition can say about this government.
Okay.
As I told you, welfare measures as well as development, there's nothing they can say. Despite of all these difficulties, it's been things are going good. So these allegations are baseless, amateurish.
Are you looking at a tough battle here?
Well, every battle is tough. The thing is that I'm sure LDF is going to come back to power, and I'm sure that my chances of winning here is very high.
Let's go back to Sreeja MS, who is reporting live from Kalpetta, Kerala. So, Sreeja, you just gave us a lowdown on Kalpetta, which is one of the 3 constituencies of Wayanad. But if we talk about this particular district overall, Wayanad actually gained prominent attention after Rahul Gandhi won that Lok Sabha seat, and that too by a record margin. If you can give an overview as to what is the political scenario right now in this keenly watched district.
Well, that's a very good question. And of course, the talk right now is especially here, the Wayanad constituency is concerned, because just ahead of the assembly polls, we were looking at where several of the prominent leaders in the Congress, they stepped down owing to infighting within the party. So to give you an idea as far as Wayanad is concerned, it comprises of 3 major assembly segments, including Manandawadi, Sultan Batteri and Kalpetta. And what we also understand from these 3 segments, that is till about 2006, we see that the UDF held, it was a UDF's bastion, but after that we see that nearly in 2011, once again UDF came to power, but in 2016 it was a game changer. We did of course see how the LDF coming to power, whereas the UDF had won just one particular seat from one segment. But now it is definitely a tough battle as far as this particular assembly elections is concerned, because one reason being, remember, we did of course speak about how Rahul Gandhi represents the youth as far as Wayanad constituency is concerned, but the major problem that he faces at this point in time is especially the infighting within the Congress party. Now, will that pose a challenge? Now, that is something what remains to be seen. But otherwise, as far as the LDF is also concerned, remember, now they are also trying to, in fact, hold on to their seats as far as the UDF is concerned, because they also clearly have an edge. But what we have to see on ground once the poll begins, now that is something which will decide especially the fate as far as whether it is UDF or the LDF as far as Wayanad constituency is concerned. Back to you.
Yes, exactly, Sreeja. All eyes will be on this particular fact as to what these 3 particular segments in Wayanad are going to decide in these assembly elections. Thank you for that ground report.